Hey, greetings and welcome to CED's Live from the show. We're at SCTE's Cable-Tec Expo 2014 in Denver, Colorado. I happen to be with the busiest human being at the show this year. Mark Dzuban is President and CEO of SCTE.
Thanks.
It's great to catch up with you.
The word spare time, I'm not sure what that means.
I don't think you have any. Certainly you don't have any here. First thing, I'm a local. Welcome to Denver. Glad to have the Cable-Tec Expo here. You guys, as always, are active with a number of initiatives and focal points. So let's just go through a few of those.
Sure, shoot.
Let's start with the Corporate Alliance program of SCTE. What's it about and how is it benefiting your membership?
So it actually was initiated by business results. Think of Corporate Alliance as being the product of when we look at how do we invest in training and education, how does it impact our business? So there has been good data that correlates SCTE training, certification, and a show like this from an information perspective to the customer experience, very positive results. We've seen data with Suddenlink that's 3 to 4% improvement in customer experience by being a member and associated with our certification program. And also the churn within the technical community, which is costly. You train people, you want to keep them on board. There's probably a 25% or better improvement in the churn in the technical community of folks who are partnered with us at SCTE. Corporate Alliance is the next step to scale that manifestation of how do we do it larger and have corporate buy-in and corporate partnership on how to develop it even more aggressively around the training content.
So you're taking those positive results and kind of bringing them to the next level.
Yes. To include a new IT system that will correlate training with results that will be on the other side of the fence about the customer experience and other data they need to say, hey, I'm investing in a product that is really helping me with my bottom line.
Okay, and that's critical these days. Obviously it's a competitive environment. Let's move to Energy 2020, Mark. Describe the program and talk about what it brings to the industry.
Sure, there's a couple of data points that drive it, right? Today we're spending well over $1 billion in electrical energy. If you look at 5 years, let's say 2020, there is almost a 300% increase in the bandwidth requirements, also close to it, increase in the power required to do it, and also in the cost of energy. So think of how do we throttle that? If we take no action, there'll be some remediation, but there'll be no action will lead to, we believe, uncompetitive environment around energy. So to think of the paradigm, very simple. Never let energy be a competitive threat or disadvantage in the marketplace, in our own business. So this is a forward-looking action that is John Shantz is just doing a marvelous job. Teresa Hennessy. It's leading the industry basically and all the top MSOs with critical vendors to align to what is it we need to do, have the vendors aligned to the building of the products, what are the best practices we can do ourselves around education, and what are all those things we need to explore to do near term and then longer term strategic.
I was going to say, you're trying ultimately to get out in front of what could be a problem.
Yeah, and maybe, we think there are some statistics that reducing the secondary grid power energy that we're drawing today by 10%, increasing the energy of individual hardware by significant amounts. The whole network will now be, let's call it alive. The network will be based on traffic, the network energy consumption. So think of a world where if you're drawing very little traffic, the energy consumption drops because it's called transactionally based energy consumption, that's the theorem. So you'll have basically a 4 megawatt data center today that may drop down to only 20 or 30% of that as in the middle of the night or whenever traffic is reduced.
I think one exciting trend in the industry, I think you were excited about it too, is this notion of agile software development. First, can you sort of quickly explain what we're talking about when we talk about agile software development, and then talk about the implications for this industry?
Sure, if I look at agile software development, it's critical to our future. If you look at the competitive environment, a lot of competition in the marketplace, it's new applications that differentiate us, right? So if you look at the interval of software development, in many cases it was years. It was releases of twice a year, once a year. Some of the large manufacturers of switches maybe once a year. You can't do that. We need to move very rapidly. If we see issues, we need to address them now. And new applications development cycle in months instead of years. And that being agile and having standards like I believe the RDK
reference
software, reference development is huge. Because now it's a common method for us to develop software and very rapidly and deploy applications in a competitive marketplace.
Big difference in the way this industry does business and does development. Yeah.
I mean, our SCTE is in a rapid development cycle to follow that industry. Think about SCTE as a real-time provider of training and information to track the industry needs relative to what problems are they trying to solve.
Right. I know you have given a lot of thought and put a lot of energy into talent recruitment. Where do we find and identify and cultivate the next generation of brilliant minds? What is your kind of mindset around that, or what are you doing to address that?
Well, if I look at SCT and where we've gone, we've actually made some changes in even what we call ourselves. Earlier was the tax exempt, not-for-profit. We're now considering ourselves really tax exempt enterprise. Okay. So the not-for-profit is one kind of culture. Tax exempt enterprise is a business that has the same characteristics of an enterprise, but we don't have dividends. We have a much different way we fund our programs. All the revenue goes back into development, right? But how that affects people is that the whole paradigm of the not-for-profit is now we're hiring people that are icons in the industry. If I look at who came on to run operations, Lindsay Johnston, legal background, lawyer, run operations, smart, but the personality characteristics are critical. We do Berkman reviews on folks. We want to make sure there's criteria for each job. We don't necessarily want folks, it's almost like industrial engineering 101. Right people, the right personalities for the right job. But across all of them is passion, love for the job, thinking out of the box, being able to work and communicate in a way that we can get innovation on the table. So we're trying to evolve and develop an organization that is going to really be, I think, not only first class, but driving from an applied science perspective. You have to remember, as NCTA, legal regulatory policy, Cable Labs, new waves of revenue and new services, right, that approach and supporting technology. We're the applied science side that says we want to launch the Cable Labs technology more rapidly than it's ever done before and then sustain it at a high level of performance. We have a very clear mission between us, so my people in the organization are focused around the applied science.
Mark, I think one of the cool things about your job has to be that you talk to so many people in and around the industry. And what do you hear about the technology and deployment priorities of this industry? How would you encapsulate them today?
Well, because we're locked at the hip with Cable Labs, it's three major areas. It is DOCSIS 3.1 deployment, give us a transport system and a competitive medium that allow us to really, we're basically a connectivity organization, right? To have that pipe that is unique, right? That's number one. Number two is really around wireless. Think of wireless as not just a modem in your house, it's a three-dimensional product. The biggest issues we have today that we're going to address is how do you certify a house so that wireless coverage is optimized and you know when you leave an install that wireless service is covering every corner that a tablet or untethered device will be covered. And then cybersecurity. That we are locked to the hip with Cable Labs, and I believe we're locked to the hip with the senior management, the CEOs, and it trickles down to us, which is the applied science of really executing on it.
While we have you, I want to sneak in a question about international and kind of how the organization is growing in that domain, if you will.
So we just launched a new trademark. It's called ISBE, the International Society for Broadband Experts. And what's important about that is this is a global community. Intellectual property is not unique to North America, right? We want to have a global community, and as North America is still our core, but Liberty Global brings us a whole other dimension. And we have over, and I believe last year, close to 700, we'll find out the tally probably tomorrow night, 700 international attendees. More and more they're coming to us and saying, so how do you do it? How do you run your business? How do you operate these systems? How do you apply this technology? So we're saying, all right, ISBE is going to be the mechanism, and it eliminates the issue in Europe of another similar trademark that we have today. So basically we're free of confusion. I don't want any confusion. We want to build a value proposition, products and services that are very clear and unique to us.
Last question, behind us is a makeshift long drive competition that ultimately benefits the SCTE Foundation. Have you taken a swing?
No, I'm not a golfer. If they had fish in there, I'd be happy to take a shot at it.
That'll be next year's Cable-Tec Expo. Hey Mark, we know you're busy, but thank you so much for
By the way, thank you
taking
for
some
great
time
questions.
I
appreciate
it. Mark Dzuban, President and CEO of SCTE. For CE's Live from the Show, I'm Stuart Schley.